Welcome to Mickey, Marvel, and More, Disney news, commentary, and opinion. From theme parks to Thanos and from Skywalker to Skyliner, my family and I will discuss it all. So let's go!
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Mickey, Marvel, and More. I'm your host, Mark. If you've been here before, welcome back and thanks for joining us. If you just walked in, you're late. Where have you been? Okay, it says here, pause for laughs. I'm just kidding. If you got that inside joke from the Disney theme parks, good on you. If you didn't, congratulations on having a full and productive life. Don't worry though if you didn't get the joke. I plan on explaining it at the end of the episode, and that way you can amaze your family and friends with your insider knowledge of Disney theme park trivia. And speaking of later in the episode, stick around and hear our first coded transmission from our son Zack. He and I are going to talk about the state of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Have they already hit their peak? Are we all suffering from superhero overload? I don't know. Join us for our family chat to talk all about it. But first, my wife Laura joins us to talk about some of the news from in and around the Disneyverse.
Will somebody get this big walking carpet out of my way?
A few days ago, Empire Magazine put out a cryptic teaser on their socials. It simply said, "Hello there," in the blue Star Wars font with a Starfield background. Everyone, including our family, thought it might mean a Kenobi Season 2 was on the way. They said they would make an announcement at 4 p.m. the next day. When they did, it was actually revealed that the teaser was for a prequel anniversary issue by Empire Magazine. The issue would feature different covers, and the article would contain new interviews from cast and crew along with new photographs of the cast. While we were disappointed that it wasn't a Season 2 for Kenobi, we were very happy to see the prequels getting some much-needed love and attention. Check the shelves wherever you buy your favorite magazines for this special Empire issue coming out in April. In related news, it was also announced by Disney Lucasfilm that they would be re-releasing Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, to commemorate the 25th anniversary of its release, starting on May 3rd of this year, just in time for the May the 4th celebration. Be sure to check online where you can buy tickets at a theater near you, so we can all sit down together and at the same time, when Anakin says it, we can all yell, "Now this is pod racing!"
Pull the lever, Gronk. Wrong lever!
Huh?
Why do we even have that lever?
Earnings calls from big companies aren't always exciting, but this last one for Disney by Bob Iger, the newly reinstated CEO of Disney, delivered the first quarter earnings call for Disney a few days ago, and he dropped some bombshells. In the call, he announced sequels for Frozen, Toy Story, and Zootopia, and you would think that would be pretty big news on its own, but that was nothing like the next nugget he dropped. Iger let us know that not only would we be getting a sequel for Moana, but this sequel is coming out in this year, in the month of November. All of that was a huge surprise, because it had been stated before that Moana was going to be a series on Disney+, but I guess Disney changed their minds. There's also a live-action version being worked on right now, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, no surprise, that is due for release in 2025. Our guess is that Mr. Iger is looking for a few home runs on the big screen for Disney, since some of the last efforts have not been stellar. And it looks like he thinks that Moana is the answer. Disney recently re-released a few big films to the big screen that had never been there before. Soul, Turning Red, and Luca, which all saw initial releases on Disney Plus due to the pandemic, were just released to theaters in mid-January, and they all made some box office money, but not a huge splash, probably due to the fact that they were still on Disney Plus at the same time. Our family really enjoyed Moana when it came out. We hope that Moana 2 will be just as entertaining, and I'm sure so does Bob.
Jumbo, everyone, and welcome to Kilimanjaro Safaris.
And finally today, some very tiny news coming to us from Disney's Animal Kingdom in Walt Disney World. A set of cotton-top tamarin triplets was born at the end of January. This is great news because cotton-top tamarins are critically endangered species. And as you can imagine, the pictures of these little babies are beyond cute. These little guys are only about 4 inches long and will cling to their parents' bodies for about 14 weeks. The last cotton-top tamarins born in Animal Kingdom were a set of twins back in July of 2023. Before the 2023 births, the last time they had baby tamarins in Animal Kingdom was 2001. Now that's a long time in between babies. Once again, Animal Kingdom is proving that they are way more than just a zoo. They're helping to save animal species one baby at a time. How fitting that we transition from monkeys now to our family chat.
Are you Tony Stank?
Yes, this is Tony Stank. You're in the right place.
So did the Marvel Cinematic Universe hit its peak in 2019 with Avengers Endgame, and has Marvel now lost their way? Or maybe we just suffering from superhero fatigue and there's just too much content? Well, now joining us in a coded transmission from our Echo-based studios in an undisclosed bunker in Chicago is our son Zack to help us untangle the timeline strands and make some sense out of all this. Zack, thanks for joining us.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to talk about all this.
What is it? What is the problem? Are we suffering from superhero fatigue, or what is the problem?
So this is a very complicated issue. I think superhero fatigue it's a term that's thrown around a lot nowadays to describe the general feeling. And I think there is to an extent some truth to that. I think there are a lot of people who are tired of seeing superhero media as the big thing that is going on. People are getting tired of the sprawling cinematic universes. So I think to an extent that is true. However, I think the bigger issue that is out there is that a lot of superhero media is poorly put together or poorly written, more specifically. And because there is so much of it out there and a lot of it ends up being poorly written, it comes off as, oh, we're tired of superhero media. But then take things like shows like The Boys or Invincible. They are superhero media that are wildly popular, very successful, and they're very, very well written. And people are not nearly tired of those.
So yeah, it's definitely not that superhero things can't be well written. It's just that maybe Marvel isn't doing that right now.
Ever since the pandemic, there has been a push from Marvel Studios for a quantity over quality approach. They wanted to push out as much content as possible, as fast as possible, and the quality that they had maintained for nearly 10 years wasn't the same.
You think it's because they didn't have a centralized goal and they were just putting out content and it wasn't all connecting together like it used to?
To an extent, there is a bit of that, I think. They clearly have something they want to build to. They want to get to the Avengers Kang Dynasty. They want to get to Avengers Secret Wars. In between, they're struggling to find these, I don't know, like in the Infinity Saga, we had Avengers to cap off a phase. We had Age of Ultron cap off a phase. And then we had the ending with Infinity War and Endgame. They are missing those like midpoints of the story. It's currently very sprawling, very large, lots of individualized projects, and not a ton of connective tissue between them. And I think that's part of the issue.
So the solve for that is to have a big bad, I think, because a lot of people are watching these most recent television shows and films and feeling that there isn't, not to use the term, but an end game in sight, because there just isn't like some overarching villain that people understand completely. We know that Kang was part of that, And now, of course, Jonathan Majors is out of the picture because of his conviction. So does that mean they're not going to use Kang at all at this point? Or what is our centralized big bad?
I mean, as it stands right now, their big bad is supposed to be Kang. The confrontation with him and his variants is what we're supposed to be building towards. But from statements said by Kevin Feige, that wasn't even the original intention for the multiverse saga. Like, we're not currently sure what this saga was originally supposed to be. Maybe it was always supposed to be the multiverse saga, but we know for a fact that Kang was not always meant to be the big bad that we were building towards. It was only Jonathan Majors' performance in, I think it was the first season of Loki where they cited it, that they decided, oh, this is going to be our big bad. This guy's a great actor. This character has a lot of potential. This will be what we build towards. This will be our quote unquote new Thanos. Yeah, with Jonathan Majors out of the picture, that really calls into question what they're going to do. From what I have heard, internally, they are no longer calling Avengers Kang Dynasty that title. They're simply calling it Avengers 5. And that doesn't give me a lot of hope for Kang coming back, but they've also set it up to be like, that's what it's going to be. So I'm really unsure of what they're going to do. I think it would be a shame to waste the character potential of Kang. I think that Kang is a character that you can very easily recast because Kang has so many variants, but they built it specifically around that actor because they liked his performance. So
Right.
It's really uncertain what's going to happen now.
Yeah, because at the end of Quantumania, you had all of those Kangs out in the audience cheering. And of course, it was a huge component of both Loki seasons with that actor playing those parts. And it just seems like, yeah. And well, they have proven that you can recast a character with a different face like they did with those cameos in the Doctor Strange in the multiverse film. Because they had a different captain, they had different all of the characters. So it's proven that they can do that. I just wonder if it's going to be hard to follow up Jonathan Majors just because he was so good, and maybe they're going to steer completely away from that because people are going to be confused that don't understand the concept of the multiverse and different faces. I'm just afraid it's going to be too confusing if they recast it. I mean, they've recast once before for sure with Rhodey in the Iron Man films, and nobody seemed to mind. I think that was only because it had just been one film, and that's happened before, and it was easy enough to sweep under the rug. I don't know.
I mean, the exact same thing happened with Mark Ruffalo whenever he became the Hulk after Edward Norton. People didn't really bat an eye at these castings. To most audiences, those are those characters, the versions we see them as now.
Right.
But Kang is it's a whole different thing because he has appeared in multiple projects at this point with that actor playing the part. It's not been like the one role in one movie.
Right.
He's been well established as this character. So a recast is going to be harder.
That's true. What is next? What will they do next to tie it all together? How will they bring it all back into one place?
So, again, it's a little uncertain. Ever since the actor and writers strike, what's been going on at Marvel Studios has been very up in the air, very tight-lipped. They didn't appear at Comic-Con back in June,
right?
Because of all the issues that were happening. I suspect that they're going to be back this summer at Comic-Con, and that's going to give us a much clearer idea of where things are headed. But as of right now, we just don't fully know. Their next project to come out will be Deadpool 3.
Yeah, that's been touted as it's going to be the savior of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah,
I certainly hope so.
There is a lot, and I mean a lot, writing on this movie to be successful. Marvel has had a lot of duds at the box office. Whether or not those TV shows or movies were like quality-wise good, Marvel has just not been performing like it used to. monetarily speaking. And that's a big driver in, how a company operates.
Right. Well, yeah, you got to put money on the table.
So Deadpool 3 not only needs to bring in a lot of money, but it needs to earn some goodwill back from Marvel fans. I am very much a Marvel apologist.
Well, yes, I think I am as well. I'm also a Star Wars apologist, so we've got a lot of that in common.
Yeah, I will usually try to defend just about everything they put out, but I understand that Marvel is losing goodwill with most of its fan base. So Deadpool 3 has to do everything right, because this is the only movie they're putting out this year.
I know, yeah, they used to have more on the slate, but they pretty much wiped the slate clean, and now there's just the one film.
Yeah, they had to push everything else back. So this is the only thing they're putting out this year, which means it's going to be their Marvel Studios' biggest and sort of only source of income. There's stuff coming out on Disney Plus, but that, works differently. But Deadpool 3 is supposed to be, from what has been coming out about it, it seems like it's going to be some kind of multiversal shenanigans type deal. So they have an opportunity to fix some of the issues that their multiverse thus far has created.
Right.
Maybe they can refocus it. Maybe they can use this as that missing Avengers-like conclusion point we used to have, like the mini arcs of phase 1, phase 2.
Right.
Maybe this is an opportunity for them to do something similar and tie up and connect up what's come before and then continue on after. But since this is just a Deadpool movie and he's not been in the Marvel Cinematic Universe thus far, I'm not sure that's going to happen. It's really hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, technically, this is his first MCU appearance. Although there have been 2 other Deadpool films, they weren't technically part of the universe at that point.
No, I imagine this movie will bring him in and possibly Hugh Jackman's Wolverine.
Well, I mean, obviously, he's going to be in the film, and I think that's going to be a big draw, is bringing in Wolverine.
Yeah, perhaps this will bring them into the overall, MCU proper. I've seen a lot of things about how this movie is sort of going to be the love letter to Fox's X-Men universe and maybe some of their other properties like Fantastic Four.
Right.
As, all of these things move over to the MCU proper. Time will have to tell on that one. We'll have to wait until May to see that. But hey, today is Super Bowl Sunday as of this recording.
Yes.
And it
will there be a trailer?
There have been a lot of things about how the Deadpool 3 trailer could premiere at the Super Bowl, and maybe that'll give us our first indication of what this movie's going to be about.
Oh, that would be pretty fantastic. I haven't heard any of that just yet, but it would not surprise me at all. They have done the so-called big spot during the big game before.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's when they premiered the Guardians 3 trailer last year.
I think you're right.
So this is the same time frame. This movie also comes out in May like Guardians did. So this is their opportunity to say, this is what's coming next for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Please tune in. Don't let us die.
Right. So I guess to wrap this up, I'll say, do you have faith in Kevin Feige and the team to at least bring the quality level back up to where it was? And do you think it's ever going to be an Avengers Endgame like moment ever again that was just so well done and so well crafted and set up? What do you think?
I want to have faith. They have said a lot about how they want to refocus their projects. They want to focus back on the quality again. They're reeling in on how much they're putting out. They have said that they have heard fan complaints and they want to fix what's happening going forward. I know that Bob Iger has said some things about only focusing on Marvel's most successful franchises and kind of tossing the other things by the wayside. I do hope that doesn't happen, but on the other hand, that's a good way of quality control and making sure that, it is the really high quality superhero content that we used to have. I don't know if this saga will ultimately ever truly feel like the Infinity Saga did. That was lightning in a bottle. It was very special. I don't quite know if we'll ever have that again, but I do have some faith that we will get back to the higher quality of Marvel content that there used to be, even if it is, in a lot of ways, different.
Okay, well, I guess we're going to leave it right there, and we'll have to revisit this conversation maybe after we see a Deadpool 3 trailer.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, well, thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yep, thank you for having me.
I understood that reference.
That little Disney theme park inside joke at the top of the show, well, that was a reference to the pre-show from Ellen's Energy Adventure, which was in Epcot from 1996 to 2017, starring Ellen DeGeneres. Towards the end of that pre-show, Ellen was wrapping everything up that had just happened and made reference to the fact that people in the audience may be just coming in, and she said this.
And those of you who are just walking in right now, you're late. Where have you been? I love your hair. No, not you. No, I mean, it's all right, but that's cute, yeah.
The Ellen version of the ride replaced the original Universe of Energy, which was an opening day attraction in Epcot in 1982. Since then, the whole pavilion has been replaced with Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, which is now one of the best attractions in all of the Disney theme parks. Now, feel free to take this powerful knowledge I've just given you and be the hero of your next trivia night.
That's what's going on. Got it? Good. If you don't, then that's your problem because you're late.
And you think about that next time.
Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Mickey, Marvel, and More. Before we get out of here, a big thanks goes out to my wife Laura for delivering the news from around the Disneyverse today. And a special thank you to our son Zack for joining us from Echo Base Studios for our family chat about the MCU. Now, any of the stories or articles we referenced in today's show, well, they'll be on our show notes as well as the links to all of our socials. Feel free to drop by any of our pages to leave a comment or suggestion about the show or any of our stories we've talked about. And maybe while you're there, give us a like or follow. And as always, you can drop us a note with suggestions, thoughts, or ideas using our email address, which is mickeymarvelandmore, all one word, @gmail.com. And hey, if you enjoyed our show today, my name is Mark, and this has been Mickey, Marvel, and More. If you didn't, this has been Art History with Professor Wigglesworth. We'll see you next time.